The show is called Just Curious. At this point, I'm quite curious to see how this afternoon unfolds. We're in Jayanagara. This is of course an area that I used to call home many years ago. Actually, there's no other place that evokes this neighborhood's vibe.
So I'm just an enabler. ನಾನು ತುಂಬಾ ಫಾಸ್ಟ್ ಆಗಿ ಕನ್ನಡ ಮಾತಾಡ್ತೀನಿ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ರ್ಯಾಪಿಡ್ ಅಂತ ಬಂತದು. Today on Just Curious, it is one and only nama Kripal ji.
I try and look for these very small places even where they don't even know me. So it's nice because you got to go there and you got to like introduce yourself in a manner of speaking. If you look at our culture, it is that humble food, but nobody was talking about it. I must tell those stories that nobody is telling. This is my purpose.
ಅದು ಹೇಗಾಯ್ತು ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪೀರಿಯನ್ಸಸ್?
I mean, ಆವಾಗ ನನಗೆ ಅನಿಸುತ್ತೋ ದೇವರದು ದಯೆ. And today when I sit here and I reminisce that, ಅವರೇ ದೇವರು. ನನಗೆ ಇವತ್ತು ಕೂಡ ನೆನಪಿದೆ. Namaskara folks. It's going to be an interesting afternoon because I'm on my way to a studio to record a podcast. This is a very popular RJ, a very popular personality, radio personality here in Namma Bengaluru called RASHMI. If you follow radio, I'm sure you've heard of her. So she runs a podcast called Just Curious and she's invited me to be on the show. So that's where I'm headed. So I rarely ever do podcasts or interviews because one is there's so much that we're doing, you know, with our own schedule. When you're producing about 3 or 4 videos a week, you're spending a lot of time shooting on the road, in production, in edits, etc. So there's very little time. And the other aspect is that, you know, I don't think my story is as interesting as the many people that we cover as part of the work that we do. So I rarely ever do these podcasts, but every once in a while you have an interesting personality and who reaches out to you and you say, okay, fine, this could be interesting. I'm also a little nervous about this podcast because this podcast is in Kannada. I've also done another Kannada podcast earlier. So what typically happens is, although I can of course speak the language and all of that, my mind when I'm processing things doesn't really process it in Kannada because of the fact that I grew up in Bombay and my formative years were there. I spent many years there. So I tend to typically process things first in English and then express my thoughts or voice my thoughts. And so a tinge of nervousness on that part, but I think it should be interesting. So I thought I'd take the camera along and capture a bit of the podcast, but more importantly the BTS around this podcast with RASHMI. The show is called Just Curious and at this point I'm quite curious to see how this afternoon unfolds. Rapid RASHMI? Okay.
5 minutes.
No worries. It's going on?
Yeah.
Still recording the previous set, the previous guest.
Hi Anna.
You watch the videos?
Yes, so you're for a shoot?
I'm here to record a podcast. There's a studio down there, right?
Yeah.
Arohi. That's where I've come. Happy eating.
Hi.
See you. We're in Jayanagara. This is of course an area that I used to call home many years ago. A lot has changed, but still in many ways it's still the same. Like for instance these parks. When I was here the metro wasn't there, but the park certainly was there. Good opportunity to take a look at the neighborhood. My old neighborhood. Very few places that, actually there's no other place that evokes this neighborhood's vibe in Bengaluru. The world has changed in the last 28 years because 96 is when I moved to Bengaluru. Jayanagar still pretty much is more or less the same. I think it's the only neighborhood where you have like a park across the length of the stretch. Wherever you go in Jayanagar, you will not be too far from a park or a playground. How are you?
I'm good, sir. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well.
Yes, sir.
You follow the show?
Yeah, very much, sir. All the videos I watch, wherever you go, I follow.
Okay.
And also I go and try to
Yeah.
taste the food and
I
all.
hope you enjoy it.
Yeah, a lot.
I was asked to come at 4, but I have this old habit where I usually arrive at places a little early. It's good I've got the time to rekindle some of my old memories of Jayanagar. Namaskara.
ಸರ್
How are you doing?
ಆಲ್ ಗುಡ್ ಐ ಆಮ್ ಸೋ ಸಾರಿ ಒಂದು 10 ನಿಮಿಷ ಡಿಲೇ ಆಯಿತು
No worries.
10-15 minutes we overstepped the shoot time.
No worries. When you are doing cut to cut, I think that's what happens, right? Are you ready now?
Yes, please come. You know Vilas Nayak ಅವರಲ್ಲ ವರ್ಸಸ್ ಪೇಂಟರ್ ಈ ಪೇಂಟರ್ ಅವ್ರ ಎಪಿಸೋಡ್ ಇವಾಗಷ್ಟೇ ಮುಗೀತು.
Oh, okay.
He's right here. I think he wants to say hi to you.
Oh, okay.
That's Vilas Nayak.
Hi.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, Kripal.
He is one of the country's gem. ಅವರು ಸಚಿನ್ ಸರ್ ಮುಂದೆ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಫುಟ್ಬಾಲ್ ಮುಂದೆ ಪೆಲೆ.
Wonderful. And what's the medium?
Acrylic.
Acrylic.
Basically, travel and perform at various events. That is
Oh,
my
wonderful.
work right now.
It's good that we're all able to follow our passions, especially these days.
ಸೊ ನಂದು ಆಕ್ಚುಲಿ ಸೋಷಿಯಲ್ ಮೀಡಿಯಾ ಬೂಮ್ಗಿಂತ ಮೊದಲೇ ನನ್ನ ಪ್ಯಾಷನ್ ಫಾಲೋ ಮಾಡ್ತೀನಿ.
Yeah.
ಲೈಕ್ಲಿ ಮೊದಲು ಹೆಂಗೆ ಯೂಟ್ಯೂಬ್ ನಾವು ಶುರು ಮಾಡಿದ್ದು, ಅವಾಗ ನಂದು ಏನೋ ವರ್ಕ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀನಿ, ನಾನು ಹಾಕ್ತೀನಿ.
Okay.
ನಾನು ಹೇಗೆ ಶುರು ಮಾಡಿದೆ ಅಂದ್ರೆ, ನಾನು ಎಲ್ಲೋ ಶೋ ಮಾಡ್ತೀನಿ, ಒಳ್ಳೆ ವಿಡಿಯೋ ಇದ್ರೆ ಹಾಕ್ತೀನಿ ಅಷ್ಟೇ.
Correct.
ನಾನು ಇನ್ನೂ ಅದರಲ್ಲೇ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ, ಬಟ್ ಐ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟು ಚೇಂಜ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಕ್ರಿಯೇಟ್ ಸಮಥಿಂಗ್.
To create the virality.
ಹೌದು.
You know, I feel that you cannot chase virality.
You cannot.
That virality happens along the way in the journey. Anyways, lovely meeting you.
Yeah, very nice meeting you too, sir.
Thank you.
Fantastic. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
ಆಮೇಲೆ ನೋಡ್ತೀನಿ. I'll watch
Yes.
this
Same here. I'll watch your interview too. This set of yours looks very intense, huh? It's like under the spotlight. So when it comes to radio personalities in Bengaluru, everybody says Rapid RASHMI. How did that name Rapid RASHMI happen?
ನಾನು ತುಂಬ ಫಾಸ್ಟಾಗಿ ಕನ್ನಡ ಮಾತಾಡ್ತೀನಿ, ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ರ್ಯಾಪಿಡ್ ಅಂತ ಬಂತದು. ಇವಾಗ ನೋಡಿ, ನೀವೇನೋ ಒಂದು ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆ ಕೇಳ್ತೀರಾ, ಪಟ್ ಅಂತ ಒಂದು ಕೌಂಟರ್ ಬರುತ್ತೆ. ದಟ್ಸ್ ದ ಸೆಕೆಂಡ್ ಲೇಯರ್ ಟು ವಾಟ್ ರ್ಯಾಪಿಡ್.
So the repartee.
ಎಸ್, ದಟ್ಸ್ ಆಲ್ಸೋ ಸೆಕೆಂಡ್ ಲೇಯರ್. ಸೊ ಇನ್ 18 years ಸರ್, ನಾವು ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಸೆಂಟೆನ್ಸ್ ಏನು ಮಾತಾಡಲಿ ಅನ್ನೋದ್ರಿಂದ ಸ್ಟಾರ್ಟ್ ಆಗಿರುತ್ತೆ. ಎಂಡಲ್ಲಿ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಬಾಯಿ ಮುಚ್ಕೊಂಡ್ರೆ ಸಾಕು ಅಂತ ಅಲ್ಲಿಗೆ ಹೋಗಿರುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ದಟ್ಸ್ ಹೌ ಇಟ್ ಇಸ್.
So the podcast ನಲ್ಲಿ ಆ ಥರ ಆಗಲ್ಲ, ಬಾಯಿ ಮುಚ್ಕೊಂಡು
ದಿಸ್ ಇಸ್, ನಾನು ಒಂದು ಮಾತಾಡ್ತೀನಿ ಅಷ್ಟೇ ಅಂತೀನಿ, ದೆನ್ ಅವ್ರಿಗೂ ದ ಗೆಸ್ಟ್ ವಿಲ್, ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ಐ ಥಿಂಕ್ ಇದು ಅವ್ರ ಜರ್ನಿ ಅಲ್ಲ. ಪಾಡ್ಕಾಸ್ಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಆಲ್ ಅಬೌಟ್ ನೋಯಿಂಗ್ ವಾಟ್ ಯುವರ್ ಜರ್ನಿ ಇಸ್, ವಾಟ್ ಯು ಆರ್ ಡೂಯಿಂಗ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಹೌ ಯುವರ್ ಕ್ಯೂರಿಯಾಸಿಟೀಸ್ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟೇಕನ್ ಯು ಫಾರ್ ಇನ್ ಲೈಫ್. ಸೊ ನಾನು ಐಮ್ ಜಸ್ಟ್ ಅನ್ ಎನೇಬ್ಲರ್, ಐಮ್ ಜಸ್ಟ್ ಅನ್ ಆಂಕರ್.
And how did this show begin?
I used to consume a lot of podcasts,
Okay.
And I saw that became a habit in me.
Okay.
ಯಾಕಿದು ಅಂತ ನೋಡಿದಾಗ I got to know that is doing something to me as a human. It is adding some value to me. Then that's when I thought, okay, now ರೇಡಿಯೋದಲ್ಲಿ I've entertained people, ಕಾಲು ಎಳೆದಿದ್ದೀನಿ, ಮಜಾ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದೀನಿ. But what is something that is concrete which will stay with people on a video ಇದು? So that's how the idea came, and then I thought, okay, what can the show be about? Then I somehow thought, it's all about staying curious about what the other person's journey is and all of that. This is not interviewing, but it's conversing with you. ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಮಾತಿಗೆ ಹೇಳಿದಾಗ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ, ಯು ಆರ್ ಮೋರ್ ನ್ಯಾಚುರಲ್, ಯು ಆರ್ ಮೋರ್ ಹ್ಯೂಮನ್. ದೇರ್ ಇಸ್ ನೋ ಟೆಂಪ್ಲೇಟ್ ಸೇಯಿಂಗ್, ಐ ಓನ್ಲಿ ಸೇ ABCD. Here it starts from A and you don't know where it goes.
So you're trying to empty the thoughts of the good.
I think that's how it all started, but luckily it's taken off well.
Fantastic. I try and look for these very small places even where they don't even know me. So it's nice because you got to go there and you got to like introduce yourself in a manner of speaking, and so I always feel that. So therefore this sort of a setup that I have here, which has it's bare minimal.
It's frugal,
Yeah.
but at the same time it has everything
Yeah.
it needs, like the audio is there,
Yeah.
the right camera is there.
Yeah. So tell me, guide me, brief me, whatever I need to be.
I think it's all about serendipities during the process. In explorations ಮಾಡಿದ್ರಿ, ಮತ್ತೆ ಒಂದಷ್ಟು philosophical things like what is keeping you hungry in this phase of life, or what are you looking at life, ಅಂದ್ರೆ through what lens are you looking at in 2024 ಅಂತ ನೋಡೋದಾದ್ರೆ ಈ ತರ ವಿಚಾರಗಳು. and then your belief system, ಮತ್ತೆ ರಿಲಿಜಿಯಸ್ ಬಿಲೀವ್ಸ್ ಏನು, ಸ್ಪಿರಿಚುಯಾಲಿಟಿ ಇಂಟ್ರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಏನು, ಪುಸ್ತಕಗಳೇನು ಓದ್ತೀರಾ. ಸೊ ಲೈಕ್ವೈಸ್ ದಿಸ್ ಇಸ್ ಹೋಲ್ ಪರ್ಸನಲ್ ಲೈಫ್.
Check. Yeah, fine?
Yes, sir. The audio is fine.
Check.
Today on Just Curious, it is one and only Nama Kripal ji. Anta start martini, but your full name would be Kripal
Amanna.
Amanna. Your identity is that, that well-spoken, the hat ಏನಿದೆ. What do you call this hat?
Fedora.
Fedora, right.
Yes.
So you are like food na beautify ಮಾಡೋದಿರ್ಲಿ, the man who is going to taste the food, there is his elegance. This is the man in front of me here, Just Curiously. Sir, welcome to the show and ಹೇಗಿದ್ದೀರಾ?
Thank you very much. ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿದ್ದೇನೆ ನಾನು. Thank you very much for inviting me to your show.
Looks does matter. It's like the first impression, lot of things. So either ಹಿಂದಿಂದು story ಏನು?
It's actually quite by accident. Over a period of time, as you get older, you got to look after your hair and this and that. And I came to a stage, I said, ಇದೆಲ್ಲ ನನಗೆ troubles ಬೇಡ. I want to focus on what I need to do. I don't want to focus on how my hair looks. So I used to keep threatening my wife and my daughter, okay, I'm going to take it off. We were in Singapore and I said, okay, if they were in the hotel, I came back. I went to the barber there and I got a really, really close sort of a crew cut. So one fine day, I removed it all. Then one day, what happened was, I was in the aircraft. I was going to Bombay, Bangalore Nalli, summertime. So I was sitting in the aircraft, waiting, for the doors to close and all of that. I didn't have a hat or anything. Summer. But, I was feeling cold. This was soon after I had shaved completely. So then I was like sitting like that in the aircraft and I was like, I'm feeling cold, am I unwell or what? And then I did this. And that's when I realized, that this scalp now needs protection. And so that's how the hat happened really. So adondu identity agide.
Firstly, how do you start your day? ಏನ್ ಕತೆ?
My day begins with prayer and meditation. I try as much as possible to begin my day without looking at the phone. Belige, the first thing, if you look at your phone, adonu direction kodate for the full day. Then you react ಮಾಡ್ತೀರಾ ಏನು ನೋಡ್ತೀರಾ phone ನಲ್ಲಿ. So as far as possible, so I begin my day with some prayer, some meditation. The person that you are at the very core, only those around you in your inner circle will know. My process of meditation involves thinking about those around me, myself. I think I submit to a higher power. Now, ಏನಾದರೂ ಮಾಡಲಿ, I think it is because ನಮಗೆ ಒಂದು destiny ಇದೆ. We are all in this world for a purpose. I felt there are so many stories that deserve to be told, but ಜನರು ಹೇಳಲ್ಲ ಅದು ಸ್ಟೋರೀಸ್. ಯಾಕಂದರೆ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಒಂದು there is no commercial connect to it. ಸೊ ಆವಾಗ ನನಗೆ ಒಂದು ಮನಸ್ಸಲ್ಲಿ ಇದು ಬಂತು ಕಿ I must tell those stories that nobody is telling. And that's when I realized over a period of time that this is my purpose. And I don't think I'm chasing success. See, ನನಗೆ ಅಂದರೆ when I get a message from somebody sitting 80 kilometers away in Halaguru, like a small Chiblu Idli place, maybe in a day he has about 60-70 people. But suddenly, once his video is released, he's got 800 people that land. Initially, his life is thrown into a bit of a turmoil. But eventually, if he was here, then he starts performing at that. From those stories, I determine my success. Before, in the pre-COVID days, ಇದು ಶೋ ನಾನು ಬೆಂಗಳೂರಿನಲ್ಲಿ ಮಾಡ್ತಿದ್ದೆ, ಕರ್ನಾಟಕಲ್ಲೇ ಮಾಡ್ತಿದ್ದೆ. I went to Tamil Nadu, went to Hyderabad, did some episode in Jaipur and all of that. But when COVID happened and one saw so many of these eateries struggling, suffering for no fault of theirs. See, ಕೆಲಸದ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ, you will find your purpose also in that situation. So when we looked around and I saw this happening, I diverted all my focus from saying, okay, fine, we're not going to go outside Karnataka. We will go into these places and showcase what they're doing. I joined the industry in 94.
Wow.
So ಒಂದು 30 ವರ್ಷ ಆಯಿತು, right? So everything that I went through before that prepared me for this. So my morning routine of prayer, meditation is about understanding that.
So that is the anchor which will give you direction, which will give you purpose ಅಂತ ಶುರುವಾಗಿದ್ದು ಕಾನ್ವರ್ಸೇಷನ್. ಇಂಟ್ರೆಸ್ಟಿಂಗ್ಲಿ ಕೃಪಾಲ್ ಅವರು ಫೇಮಸ್ ಆಗಿರೋದು ಫುಡ್ ವಿಚಾರಕ್ಕೆ. ಇಲ್ಲಿವರೆಗೂ ಯು ಆರ್ ಬಿಹೈಂಡ್ ದ ಕ್ಯಾಮೆರಾ, ದ ಸ್ವಿಚ್ ಫ್ರಮ್ ಬಿಹೈಂಡ್ ಟು ಬೀಯಿಂಗ್ ಇನ್ ದ ಫ್ರಂಟ್, ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಟ್ರಿಗರ್ ಇಸ್ ವಿತೌಟ್ ಎನಿ ಮಾನಿಟರಿ. ಇದು ಎಷ್ಟೊಂದು ಜನ ಸಮ್ ಸ್ಟೋರೀಸ್ ವರ್ ನಾಟ್ ಬೀಯಿಂಗ್ ಟೋಲ್ಡ್ ಅನ್ನೋದು ಇದು.
I feel that sometimes you just get placed in a certain situation. It could be an incident, it could be anything that probably makes you think, why am I doing this? So I was working a lot with big hotels, restaurants, top chefs. I was creating videos, content with them. This I'm talking 5 years ago. Allah, avaga Instagram ashtu irlilla. It was mostly Facebook then, Kripal, Amanna, gourmet on the road, food lovers TV last 4 years in that. Content nalli nandu journey 2004 nalli begin adadu.
ಹೇಗೆ?
So I began this magazine. ಅದು ನೇಮ್ ಚೇಂಜ್ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಒಂದು ಫುಡ್ ಲವರ್ಸ್ ಅಂತ ನೇಮ್ ಬಂತು. ರಿಜಿಸ್ಟರ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೆಲ್ಲ. ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಫಾರ್ ದ ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಇಯರ್ ಐ ವಾಸ್ ಅ ಫೋಟೋಗ್ರಫರ್, ಐ ವಾಸ್ ದ ರೈಟರ್, ಐ ವಾಸ್ ದ ಏನು ಹೇಳ್ತೀರಾ ಎಡಿಟರ್ ಎಲ್ಲ. ಐ ಹ್ಯಾಡ್ ನೋ ಕ್ಲೂ. ಸೊ ಐ ಬಿಗ್ಯಾನ್ ದಿಸ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಐ ಪುಟ್ ಎಷ್ಟೆಲ್ಲ ಒಂದು ಸೇವಿಂಗ್ಸ್ ಅಂತ ಎಲ್ಲ ಹಾಕಿದೆ ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ. ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಐ ಬರ್ನ್ಟ್ ಆಲ್ ಆಫ್ ಇಟ್. ಬಟ್ ಐ ಲರ್ನ್ಟ್ ಇಟ್. ಸೊ ಆ ಥರ ಬರ್ತಾ ಬರ್ತಾ ಒಂದು ಮ್ಯಾಗಝೀನ್ ಒಂದು 10 years ಆಯಿತು. ಆವಾಗ ನಾವು ಸುಮಾರು ಇವೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಕೂಡ ಮಾಡ್ತಿದ್ದೇವೆ ಅಂಡರ್ ದ ಫುಡ್ ಲವರ್ಸ್ ಅಂಬ್ರೆಲ್ಲ. ಅಂದರೆ ಅವಾರ್ಡ್ ಸೆರೆಮನಿ, ಈಗ ಫುಡ್ಸ್ ಅವಾರ್ಡ್ ಎಲ್ಲ ನೋಡ್ತಿರಲ್ಲ. ಸೊ ವಿ ಬಿಗ್ಯಾನ್ ಅ ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಅವಾರ್ಡ್ ಇನ್ 2004 ತಾಜ್ ವೆಸ್ಟ್ ಎಂಡ್ನಲ್ಲಿ. ಮತ್ತು ಇವೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಿದ್ದೆ ಶೆಫ್ಸ್ ಒಟ್ಟಿಗೆ. 300-400 ಪೀಪಲ್ ಇನ್ ಅ ಬಿಗ್ ಗ್ರೌಂಡ್, ಎಟ್ ದ ಲಲಿತ್, ಎಟ್ ದ ತಾಜ್, ರಿಟ್ಸ್ ಕಾರ್ಲ್ಟನ್. ಸೊ ಅದನ್ನೊಂದು ವರ್ಲ್ಡ್ ಇತ್ತು. ದ್ಯಾಟ್ ವಾಸ್ ಮೈ ವರ್ಲ್ಡ್. ಸೊ ಫುಡ್ ಲವರ್ಸ್ ಮ್ಯಾಗಝೀನ್ ಕೂಡ ಭಾಳ ಪ್ರೀಮಿಯಂ ಮ್ಯಾಗಝೀನ್ ಇತ್ತು ಅದು. ಬಟ್ ದೆನ್ ಇಟ್ ಸಮ್ ಪಾಯಿಂಟ್ I was looking beyond it. And I was looking at all these stories, at all these people, these humble establishments that were doing great work. But andre nobody was shining a light on them. Comfort food andre enu? That humble food. If you look at our culture, where we come from, it is that humble food. It is that, but nobody was talking about it. Nobody was celebrating it. ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಯಾರು ಪೆಡಿಸ್ಟಲ್ ಮೇಲೆ ಹಾಕ್ತಿರ್ಲಿಲ್ಲ ಆವಾಗ. ಯಾಕಂದರೆ it didn't fit into agendas. Today, if you look across the platform, YouTube, both the channels, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, there are about 25 lakh people in our community. They go somewhere, message haktare. Cream always rises to the top, Allah. So I believe in that. I have a line called truth in food. Truth in food. So namdu ella personally hashtag nodtira. Truth in food. So I should be able to speak for that place with sincerity, with integrity and with conviction.
Not for money.
Never. I think sincerity and truthfulness is extremely, extremely important. See, ನಾನು ಶೋ ಬಿಗಿನ್ ಮಾಡುವಾಗ ಅದು ನಂದು ಒಂದು ಇಂಟೆಂಟ್ ಇತ್ತು. I wanted these stories to come out. If we don't tell those stories of our food traditions, food cultures, with every passing generation it will die out. ಅಂದರೆ ನೀವೊಂದು ರೆಸ್ಟೋರೆಂಟ್ ನೋಡ್ತೀರಾ, ಒಂದು 60 ವರ್ಷ ಹಿಂದೆ ಓಪನ್ ಆದದು. ಸೊ ನಾವು ಇಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಇನ್ ಸೆಕೆಂಡ್ ಜನರೇಷನ್. ದ ಥರ್ಡ್ ಜನರೇಷನ್ ಟು ಶುಡ್ ಫೀಲ್ ಪ್ರೌಡ್. ನಾವು ನಮ್ಮದು ತಾತ ಏನು ಸ್ಟಾರ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಅದು ನಾವು ಕಂಟಿನ್ಯೂ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. ಜನರು ನನಗೆ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ, ನೀವು ಆಲ್ಸ ಹಳೇದು ಜಾಗಾಗೆ ಹೋಗ್ತೀರಾ, ಈಗ ನ್ಯೂ ಟ್ರೆಂಡಿಂಗ್ ಜಾಗಾಗೆ ಹೋಗಲ್ಲ. ಐ ಆಮ್ ನಾಟ್ ಇಂಟ್ರೆಸ್ಟೆಡ್ ಇನ್ ಟ್ರೆಂಡ್ಸ್, ಫ್ಯಾಡ್ಸ್. ಐ ಜಸ್ಟ್ ವಾಂಟ್ ಲೆಗಸೀಸ್ ಟು ಬಿ ಸೆಲೆಬ್ರೇಟೆಡ್. ಅಲ್ಲ?
Yes.
If something has survived 100 years,
ಅದು ನೀನು next 100
yearsಗೆ ಹೇಗೆ ಸಪೋರ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು ನಾವು? How can we make it exciting? ಅದು ನಂದು ಪ್ರಯತ್ನ. When I do a video, right, the video may have lakhs of views. There are many videos that have millions of views. So adರಲ್ಲಿ, let's say I talk about a particular biryani somewhere, right? Now 99% people may like that biryani. Or a dosa, right? 99% may like the dosa. But there may be that 1% or whatever who may say, okay, ಯೂಸ್ಲೆಸ್ ದೋಸೆ, ಓವರ್ ರೇಟೆಡ್ ಅಲ್ಲ, ಅದೊಂದು ಬಸ್ ವರ್ಡ್ ಆಗಿದೆ, ಓವರ್ ರೇಟೆಡ್. ಬಟ್ ಆ್ಯಸ್ ಅ ಫುಡ್ ರಿವ್ಯೂವರ್, ಐ ಕಾಲ್ ಮೈ ಸೆಲ್ಫ್ ಅ ಸ್ಟೋರಿ ಟೆಲರ್. ಐ ವಿಲ್ ಟೆಲ್ ವಾಟ್ ದಟ್ ದೋಸೆ ಈಸ್ ಆಲ್ ಅಬೌಟ್. ಇದು ದೋಸೆಲಿ ಇಷ್ಟು ತುಪ್ಪ ಹಾಕಿದ್ದಾರೆ, ಇಷ್ಟು ತುಪ್ಪ ಹಾಕಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ನಿಮಗೆ ತುಪ್ಪ ಇಷ್ಟ ಆದರೆ ನೀವು ತಿಂತೀರಾ, ನಿಮಗೆ ಇಷ್ಟ ಆಗಿಲ್ಲದ್ರೆ ದೆನ್ ದಟ್ಸ್ ನಾಟ್ ಅ ಪ್ಲೇಸ್ ಫಾರ್ ಯು. ಸೊ ಐ ಫೀಲ್ ದಟ್ content creators should not get bogged down by these aspects. There are many people, who've really who've got a new lease of life, for whom their business has taken off, after this.
After Food Lovers TV.
After we visited them, told their story. I'll give you an example. Noon's Biryani, HSR Nalli. Chikka jaga, one small shop. Husband, wife do the cooking in their home. Biryani takond bartare. They bring it. And I heard about the story again through research. So I went there on story madideve. Cooking of the biryani by the husband and wife. That video went viral. Sometimes I also worry about them, because ಏನು ಆಗುತ್ತೆ ಅಂದರೆ See, again, Nandu, responsibility also goes on the other side. Like a lot of, like recently somebody sent me this, one old lady selling 5 rupees chai or coffee, some vade for 5-10 rupees. And she's working there herself. Although I want to go there and film, I try and restrain myself. Already there is so much of virality because it's come on Twitter and all of that. Now if I go there, I may probably compound. There's one person. Again, when we did this episode with them, it blew up massively. Andre, aurdu chikka shop that weekend when people came, they're seeing lines. HSR neighborhood. Neighbors are wondering what happened. There are many like this. Illi namdu Madhavan Park, Bajji Angidi. I just landed one fine day. I think I was shooting somewhere and this was in the back of my mind. Ali hode. Did a small episode, I think 20 nimsha or something like that. The capsicum bondi and all that. That video went viral again. Everything changed after that.
Today's rush of content ella kade ide. I'm sure your experience would probably tell you FOMO is not for me. Always to be seen, always to be on top.
Longevity, consistency, very underrated. Ivaga IPL idu trend alla. Nobody thinks of test cricket. You also want at a certain level, you want your content to be evergreen alla.
Absolutely.
Correct?
And 10 ವರ್ಷ ಬಿಟ್ಟು ನೋಡಿದ್ರು it has to stay relevant.
It has to stay relevant. Nanu kuda, when I look for a place, I also try and evaluate, okay, does this place have legs that it can stand on for the long term? You want 1 year later even that story to be as relevant, 2 years later even. Namdu ishtu videos ide. 3 years down the line even the videos are as relevant. ನೀವು ಅದು ವಿಡಿಯೋ ನೋಡಿಕೊಂಡು ಯು ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಗೋ ದೇರ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಆರ್ಡರ್. ಪ್ರೈಸಸ್ ಚೇಂಜ್ ಆಗಿರ್ಬೋದು, ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಬ್ಯುಸಿ ಆಗಿರ್ಬೋದು, ಬಟ್ ಅಟ್ ದ ಕೋರ್ ಅದು ಸೇಮ್. ಸೊ ದ್ಯಾಟ್ ಈಸ್ ವಾಟ್ ಐ ಲುಕ್ ಫಾರ್.
ಮತ್ತೆ ಮೋಸ್ಟ್ ಮೆಮೊರಬಲ್ ಫೀಡ್ಬ್ಯಾಕ್ ಅಥವಾ ಕಮೆಂಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಯೋರ್ ಯೂಟ್ಯೂಬ್ ಚಾನಲ್ದು ದಟ್ ಸ್ಟೇಸ್ ಕ್ಲೋಸ್ ಟು ಯೋರ್ ಹಾರ್ಟ್?
ದ ಮೆನಿ ಕಾಮೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ದಟ್ ಐ ಗೆಟ್ ಫ್ರಮ್ viewers. In fact, there was a very heartwarming comment that I got from one of my viewers. His mother had some form of cancer. Okay. And she couldn't eat. But she would watch my show, watch me eat. And that gave her the appetite, the will to eat. So many a times you don't realize at what level you're connecting with people. I never thought of that, no? Recently, there's another viewer who wrote to me. In fact, he keeps writing, posting comments. You also form relationships with viewers based on their comments. Who had some form of an accident, bedridden. His only window to the outside world is my vlogs. So there are things like these that one comes across as well. And I never really thought of it. I never thought that a video can be therapeutic to somebody who is in that stage of illness. They probably had a very busy day, a long day, a strenuous day, maybe sickness, maybe stress, maybe worry. But when they put on YouTube and your video pops up, that 20 minutes aur mart hogtare in problems ide. The fact that you can make their day. Sometimes I ask myself, Andre nanu ivattu whatever work I do, I'm able to create this impact. Why did I not begin this 5 years earlier?
ಇವತ್ತು ಯಾವ ಚಿಕ್ಕ ಚಿಕ್ಕ ಹೆಜ್ಜೆ ಹ್ಯಾಬಿಟ್ಸ್ ಇಟ್ಕೊಂಡು ಮುಂದಿನ ಲೈಫ್ನ ಸ್ಟೇಜನ್ನ ನೋಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀರಾ?
For want of a better word, I'm not super ambitious. I just want to tell the stories that I tell. I want to find those stories and tell those stories one story at a time. Ever since Gourmet on the Road happened, I decided I'm not going to chase. I'm not interested in that chase. I want to chase stories that need to be told.
Not the other, like virality, money.
See, all that is, it happens along the way. Of course, salpa luck kuda ide. You need to, but you cannot do it without the hard work, without the effort. Usually, at least, success, I think, is more of a long-term sort of I know it sounds very, in this day and age where we want to be viral quickly, I just feel that sustained success is a little bit of a long-term sort of a play. We all want things. but we don't need everything we want.
Correct.
So I am someone who believes more in the need aspect of it. So many a times I will not change things just because I need to change it.
I want to take you back. Appu sir jotegiro ನಿಮ್ಮ memory. I think that was one of the top favorite for everybody and of course for you also. ಅದು ಹೇಗಾಯಿತು ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪೀರಿಯನ್ಸಸ್ಸು?
I mean, ಆವಾಗ ನನಗೆ ಅನಿಸುತ್ತೋ ದೇವ್ರದ್ದು ದಯೆ. And today when I sit here and I reminisce that, ಅವರೇ ದೇವರು. ನನಗೆ ಇವತ್ತು ಕೂಡ ನೆನಪಿದೆ, I was sitting somewhere with some friends on a Sunday afternoon, with my family actually. And there was a call I got, and there was this lady at the other end of the line, and she said, I'm calling from PRK Productions. ಆವಾಗ ಅದು ಮೂವಿ ಬರ್ತಿತ್ತು, ಯಾವುದು ಯುವರತ್ನ. ನಿಮ್ಮೊಟ್ಟಿಗೆ ಅಪ್ಪು ಸರಿಗೆ ಒಂದು ವಿಡಿಯೋ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. ಸೊ ಐ ಸೆಡ್ ಹೂಸ್ ಕಾಲಿಂಗ್. ಐ ವಾಸ್ ಲೈಕ್ ಶಾಕ್ಡ್ ಫಸ್ಟ್ಲಿ. ನನಗೆ ಪ್ರ್ಯಾಂಕೆ ಅನಿಸಿತ್ತು. ಐ ಸ್ಟಿಲ್ ಡಿಂಟ್ ವಾಂಟ್ ಟು ಬಿಲೀವ್ ಇಟ್ ಟಿಲ್ ಇಟ್ ಹ್ಯಾಪನ್ಡ್. ಸೊ ಐ ಡಿಂಟ್ ಟೆಲ್ ಎನಿಬಡಿ ಅಬೌಟ್ ಇಟ್. I told my wife about it, and that was that. I went into that press conference venue. The press conference was going on, so I said I'll sit outside. The press conference got over, he was doing Q&As. And they said, okay, you can come in now, don't have to sit outside. So I said, okay, I went in and I sat on the stage. And he was on the dais, and I was sitting on the last row or whatever. And he was answering those questions. And then he was done with the question, then he saw me and he smiled. That smile of his, I will never forget. And then he came down. Santosh Anandram was with him. And he came and he hugged me like I have a relationship with him for the last 10 years. Andre, avrige ಏನು ಹೇಳಿರಲಿಲ್ಲ. You know, that he is such a huge
ಸ್ಟಾರ್,
superstar. That meeting is something that I'll always, I'll carry it to my grave. He had that quality where if he spent even the 10 seconds with you, that 10 seconds he made you feel like nobody else existed in the world for those 10 seconds. And I think that's how he's touched so many people. And I was privileged that I was able to spend a couple of hours with him. There will never be another Appu. Yeah. If you ask my cinematographer, at the end of the day, after I've eaten, after I've filmed, people feel so bad to give me that bill. I said, no, I have to pay for it also. They said, you're doing all this work for us. I said, I'm not doing it for you. Because your work is good, that's why I'm here, Allah. Growing years, I used to read a lot. In my formative years, I've absorbed a lot. I've read a lot. And that is what I think has helped me. I watch a lot of documentaries.
Which book is talking to you right now, Kripal ji? ಈ ಕಡೆ you are a badass, how to stop doubting your greatness and start living an awesome life, which you already are. Maybe there is room for more always. ಇನ್ನೊಂದು, when breath comes.
I think that badass part appealed to me. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you for your time.
Yeah, thanks for your time as well.
Thank
and
you.
Until next time, I'm sure you'll stay curious with Food Lovers TV, and I shall stay curious hosting the next guest.
Thank you very much. Well, that was quite a long and intense 2-hour podcast. My mind feels a little empty right now, and to be honest, I'm having difficulty talking to the camera now because such was the nature of the conversation with Rashmi. It didn't feel like a Q&A, but it felt like a conversation where we were discussing thoughts, ideas. So I really don't know how the podcast went, but I hear from Rashmi that it went fine. And you can also tell me what you thought of the podcast, because I'm releasing this vlog only when that podcast is out, which is now. So you'll find a link in the description below. Do take a look. Let me know what you thought of the podcast. Let Rashmi know on her channel too. The other reason why I wanted to do this show was also to facilitate some sort of Q&A in a manner of speaking. So do take a look at the podcast. Let me know what you felt. And I'll see you on the next one. Bye.